This conference will now be recorded.
Hi friends, good morning. In this Azure Databricks Master Program, so in today's session we are going to talk about how to interact with Databricks with CLI. So today we will see how to install Databricks CLI, then how to create cluster from the CLI, how to restart cluster, how to terminate cluster, how to permanently delete the cluster, and we are also going to see how to get the status of the cluster. Okay, and I want to understand complete details about a particular cluster. So what nodes we have used, what kind of configurations we have set it in that particular cluster, all those things, how you can see it in your data, like how you can see all those things in a Databricks CLI we are going to discuss. Then we are going to talk about workspace. Workspace means creating the folders in a workspace and creating the maybe you can say exporting notebooks from your Databricks CLI to the local system, that is maybe my desktop. From my desktop, again I need to import some of the notebooks or Python files to the Databricks workspace. How to do all those things we will discuss in today's session. Let's see in today's session.
Malaya, sorry to interrupt you. In the last class we haven't discussed about the configuration file and the parameter regarding the widgets.
What configuration file?
So in the last class we have only discussed about the types of widgets, and we haven't discussed about the configuration file.
Wait. See, configuration is the normal file where you are going to keep all your information. Those you will see when we discuss real-time project. Okay. That is just an example. When you can just pass those configuration file or whatever values you want to pass, you can pass. That's what we discussed. Okay. So configuration file can be anything. Text file, JSON file, it can be anything. You just have to keep it as a key value pairs and you need to read it. Those things we will discuss.
Yeah, we haven't discussed. That is what I'm saying. So we can park all those things right later.
Yeah. Those things we will cover. See, that is a real-time example when we discuss, like when we are talking about real-time project. That day I will show you how you can create a configuration files and how you can pass those things. That will come there. Okay. Fine. Now you say prerequisite to install Databricks CLI. First you try to understand, to install Databricks CLI, what you need is you need to install the Python. Okay, Python latest version, Python 3. You can try to install Python 3, but in Python 3 also we have other versions, subversions, right? So you can just go with the latest Python version. I will tell you how you can install Python. Then I will tell you how you can install the Databricks. So we will see how to install Databricks CLI once we install Python. Then we are going to see, so once we install Databricks CLI, now from this CLI I need to work with one of my Databricks workspace. How to connect to that particular workspace from your CLI? That is nothing but you need to authenticate to Databricks workspace from CLI. How to authenticate we will see. Then we are going to see create cluster, how to create cluster from CLI, how to terminate cluster from CLI, how to start cluster from CLI. Then we are going to talk about how to restart cluster from CLI. Then we are going to talk about how to get list of clusters. So all the clusters which we have in our Databricks workspace, we are going to get it. Next we will talk about how to get list of notebooks. Whatever notebooks I have in my workspace, I want to get maybe particular folder, in a particular folder, whatever notebooks I have, I want to get it, how to get. Then we are going to see how to import notebook into Databricks from local. So let's say you have some Python file in your local system. That particular Python file I want to import into my Databricks with the help of CLI. How to do? In the same way, how to export notebook, how to export notebook from Databricks to the local. Next we are going to see how to remove notebook. Suppose if you want to delete some notebook, how to remove that notebook. Then we will see how to create folders. Okay, if you want to create any folders in Databricks workspace, how to create these folders, we are going to discuss in today's session. Let's see Databricks CLI installation. See, first you need to install the Python. So for installing Python, you need to go to Python website and you need to download, install it. Very easy steps. I will explain you those. But once Python is installed, you just open your command line. Then you have to issue this command: pip install Databricks-CLI. Pip install Databricks-CLI. It is going to install the Databricks CLI. Once it is installed, I can able to just say Databricks. When I just issue Databricks, it should display all the options which I can able to use with this Databricks. Example, I can able to work with clusters, Databricks, Workspace, Databricks, file system, Databricks, jobs. Okay, so all these things it will show. When it has shown all those things, what it means, Databricks CLI is installed successfully. So now I want to configure, I want to authenticate. For that, Databricks configure -- token. So here you need to give two things. One is Databricks host, that is nothing but a Databricks workspace which you have created in Azure portal. That particular workspace URL you need to give to identify uniquely your workspace. Okay, you will have a multiple workspaces within a Azure, right? Maybe you have created your own workspace. I have created my own workspace. Now we need to identify one workspace uniquely. For that, you need to give the URL. Then, so something like this, you will have a URL adb-this-key.5.azure-database.net, something like that. It will be there. Next to token. So token is basically you can just generate it from the once you launch Workspace, you can generate this token. I will tell you. So this token is very important if you want to connect to Azure Data Factory. From Azure Data Factory, if you want to connect to the Databricks, from wherever you want to connect to the Databricks, this token is important for authentication, right? So how to get this token? I will tell you. Once you get the token, you need to put that particular token here. So once you submit, with the help of this URL and token, you can able to connect to the Databricks workbook. Okay. So that is what you need to do. Once you connected, you can just first, let's start with clusters. Okay. So when you say Databricks clusters -H, so I don't know what all I can able to do it on clusters. So H will help you to tell you what all things you can able to do. Next, so Databricks clusters create. If you want to create a cluster, you have to use something called create -JSON. So all my key value pairs, okay, all my configuration details, I'm going to pass it as a JSON data. Okay, -JSON. Cluster name, Cloud Panith demo, Spark version, something like this. Node type is this. Number of workers equal to 0. And if you want auto termination equal to 10. So all other options we have. So you just have to mention all other options. Okay, but these are the minimum number of configuration that you need to provide at least. Cluster name mandatory, Spark version mandatory, node type edit mandatory. Okay, these are the minimum nodes, minimum configuration details that you need to provide when you are creating the Databricks cluster. Okay, next, so Databricks clusters list. So Databricks clusters list means you are just listing down all the clusters which you have in your Databricks workspace. Okay. Next, Databricks clusters get. Databricks clusters get means I want to get complete information about a particular cluster. Then I want to get complete information about particular cluster. What is that particular cluster? You need to provide a cluster ID, -cluster -ID. So you need to provide the cluster ID. How to get this cluster ID? When you just list down, it will display cluster ID, cluster name, and status. Those three information you will have. From that list, you will get this. So cluster name, not only by using cluster ID, you can also pass cluster name to identify the one cluster uniquely, but mostly you go with cluster ID. Okay. Now I want to restart. Which cluster you want to restart? Restart this cluster. Cluster -ID. This is the cluster ID. Next, I want to delete. Delete is nothing but a terminate. Try to understand terminate meaning. Cluster will not be removed from the workspace. It will be just stopped. Okay. Delete -cluster ID. So this is the cluster I want to delete. Okay, this terminate cluster, it will just stop the cluster. Okay, but if you want to start now, again start -cluster -ID. This is the cluster ID which I want to start. Now I want to check events. Okay, who has created this, who has stopped, who has restarted, who has terminated. So I want to get all the events. Then you need to say events -cluster -ID. This is the, on this cluster I want to get all the events on this cluster. What all things happened, I want to know. Example, who has created, who has terminated, who has started, all those things. If you want, you need to use events. Permanently, if you want to delete, I don't want to see this cluster anymore in my Databricks workspace, then you need to say permanent-delete. This is the cluster ID. Okay, so likewise we have different options based on that. Suppose if you want to edit this configurations, you have edit option. So like what all options you can able to do in cluster, you can able to get all those options when you say clusters-h. Okay. Next we have a workspace. Databricks workspace.
Quick question here. Sorry to interrupt. So far, what you have told for cluster and for CLI for both the parts, previous two slides, are they uniquely for Python, or they can be some other language also?
Those are a common. It's not specific to language. First try to understand that.
No. Okay.
Not
No, you have done with PEEP. You started with PEEP, right? So that's why I asked.
Yeah, because Python is mandatory. It doesn't matter if you want to interact with Databricks. Okay, so you need to have a Python. Then only you can able to install the Databricks CLI.
Okay,
that
so that CLI needs a Python platform.
Yes, Databricks CLI.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, so even if you are using in Databricks, see data within a Databricks, you are writing your Scala code. Doesn't matter if you want to interact with your workspace, Databricks workspace from CLI, you need to issue same commands. So what language you are writing inside your Databricks doesn't matter. That is depends. Okay, yeah. But there is no relation with language here.
Okay.
Next, Databricks workspace -h. So it will tell you all the possible things that you can able to do it on workspace. Example, you see list down. So list, what it will do, it will display all the files which you have, all the folders which you have in a Databricks workspace. Okay, workspace means you have already seen, right? Home, workspace, all those options we have seen. Next, so let's say it is displayed multiple folders and files, but I want to see all the files which I have in a users folder. Then list users folder. If you specify users folder, in this user folder, whatever is there, it will display all those things. Okay, next. So workspace mkdirs/CLI folder. Let's say I want to create my own folder. So what I'm doing, mkdirs make directory. What is the directory name? CLI folder. This is the directory I want to create. You can able to create it. Now I want import. Okay, Databricks workspace import -l. L means language. Okay, what language file you are trying to import now? So you need to specify here. Language file is Python file. Okay, -l language is Python. Desktop/test.py CLI folder/test.py. Suppose if you are importing Scala file, then you need to say -l Scala. Okay, if you are importing some, let's say R, then you need to say language is R something. Okay, so when you are importing the file, you need to tell what type of file, what language file you are trying to import. So from where to where I am importing, from my desktop to workspace, whatever folder I created, CLI folder I created, into this folder I am just importing my local Python file. In the same way, import, I want to import. O means overwrite. If the file is already available, okay, again I am doing import, but this time I am doing like I am importing same file. This time what you wanted to do, -o, what it indicates, if the file is already available, please overwrite it. Okay, next, import _dir. So here you are importing single file test.py into CLI folder test.py. But if you look at here, import _dir means from my local system L folder. Okay, L folder, complete L folder I am importing into CLI folder. Okay, all the files which I have in L folder will be copied into CLI folder. Folder will not be copied. All the files which we have in a L folder will be copied into CLI folder. In the same way, export dir means from your workspace, whatever files we have in this CLI folder, all those things you are copying into the L folder. Okay, you are exporting into L folder one. This is local. From workspace to local, I'm exporting. Here I'm importing from my local system into the workspace. Next, workspace export. Export means single file I'm trying to export. Single file I'm trying to export. What is that single file? CLI folder/test. So in this I have a test file. So this particular test file I am exporting into my local. Next, if you want to remove a single file, that is test.py, you need to use simply rm. Okay. If you want to remove all the files which you have in this folder, rm, this folder name -r. R means recursively one by one file. Everything we need to delete from this particular folder. Okay, that's all slides. Let's quickly go and create
quick question. In the last slide, in your overwrite -l command, you had Python in uppercase. Any reason?
That is a typo. Okay, so
okay,
you can.
Okay, fine.
I think
No issues.
there
No
is
issues. Okay. That's fine.
See, your subscription is Azure subscription. Okay, I hope you know how to find this Databricks Workspace, right? You just search it here, so you'll get. Okay, search Azure Databricks, you'll get. Just click on this, you'll come here. Click on this add to create the Azure Databricks Workspace. Now this is a subscription. I want to create my own resource group. You can see Cloud Funday.
Can't we do all this in the CLI thing in the community edition of Databricks?
No, you cannot.
Okay.
Okay, Cloud Pandit BI master program. Next, workspace name. Okay, workspace name is Cloud Pandit ADB. Okay, yes, it is available in east to west. Standard networking, leave everything blank. Click review plus print. Okay, it is validating. So once validation is passed, we can able to create the Databricks workspace. We know we talked about Databricks workspace architecture, right? So what all services it is going to create in backend? It is going to create a storage, security group, virtual network, network watcher. Okay, all other things it is going to create. Let's go to all resources. Let's see. Yeah, we don't have any resource as of now, but we just created the Azure Databricks, which is going to create a other services dependency resources. It will create automatically when you start creating the Azure Databricks. Okay, fine. Meanwhile, I will show you how to create. Yeah, it will come up. So meanwhile, I will show you how you can install the Python. Okay, come here. You can simply say python.org. Click on download. Just download the latest version. Okay, just click on this. It will download the software. Just double click on that. We have some checkbox. Okay, down. You will get some checkbox. What it tell you is, do you want to add the Python path to the environment variables or not? Just select that option, click next. That's all. Very simple. If you have any challenges, please let me know. Okay, so I have already video posted in my YouTube channel. I will share that video. You can just follow those steps. Okay, because I already installed multiple versions. Now if we uninstall and install, it will take more time. Okay, so it will be easy.
For MacBook, you have any instructions?
MacBooks I never tried, but yeah, I'll just you try to install it. Okay,
okay.
for
Okay.
But what you can do, just go to python.org. So you have a different options. So just click on view the full list of downloads. These are different versions we have. So specific operating system. Yeah, but if you want to install, let's say if you want to install latest Python 3.8.3, just click on that. See here, Mac OS. Okay, so for that you need to install this. Okay. So likewise for different operating systems we have here, you can just select next. Yeah, so now you just refresh, you will see all the things it has created. It has created a storage account, network watch, network security group, virtual network for us. Now just click on this Cloud Pandit ADB. This is a Databricks workspace. Now click on launch workspace. Okay, now come here. I'm just opening my command line. Okay, here I'll just issue something like this: pip install Databricks -CLI. Okay, just enter. So it is collecting all the required packages. Okay, it is installed now. What we need to do, we need to say Databricks now. So it will tell you all the things that you can able to enter. See, clusters, file system, jobs, libraries, pipelines, run, see, create, stack, token, workspace, different things we have. Okay. Today we will learn clusters and workspace. Tomorrow we will see some important things like jobs, FPS and groups, instance pools. Other stuff is not required, but main things we'll discuss. Okay. Yeah. So now let's start with first what we need to do. We need to authenticate. So the CLI you install, that's okay. But how this knows that whatever commands you are issuing, those it should act on this particular workspace. Okay, so we need to link this particular workspace with CLI. For that, you need to do two things. First, to come here, you can just issue a something command. Okay, what is that command? Is Databricks configure. Okay, suppose I don't know anything. Okay, what you can do? You see here something called configure. Okay, you just can do configure. Further, I don't know what to do. Just say -h. So everything you can take the help of friends. Okay, here you see you can say -token or you can say -t. You can use anything. Okay, -t you can say simply enter. See, it is asking should be begin with see Databricks host. How to get Databricks host? The easiest way to get the Databricks host is see your URL. This is the Databricks host. Copy this, come to CLI and paste it. Enter. Now it is asking you to enter the token. So how to get the token? Come to Databricks, click on this, click on user settings, generate new token. Here you can say my first token. Enter. See, this is just a description, something. Okay, you can without giving this comment also you can able to generate. So how many days this key should be? This token should be available 90 days. After 90 days, this token will expire. Just to generate it. If you want to increase those days, you can increase. Okay, I'll just copy this. Okay, now I want to paste it here. I pasted, enter it. Okay, it's done. Now let's see whether it is real authenticated or not. How to do is clusters list. Get the clusters list. If it says bad request or something, you have not authenticated properly. If it is says something there is no clusters, if any running cluster is there, it will display that cluster here. In that case, you can consider as okay, it is authenticated properly. If you get any error when you just issue this, you have not authenticated properly. If you're not getting any error message, it is simply not displaying anything. And if the clusters are available, it will display those clusters. If you see correct message, correct output, then you can think that okay, it is authenticated properly. Now we know we don't have any clusters. That's why it is showing like this. Okay, now what I wanted to do, so I'll tell you, see the different ways. So what you can do, you try it from Databricks clusters. What all things I can do? -h. Here you can create it, you can delete, terminate, you can edit, you can check events, you can get some more information about that. You can list node types. Node type means your computer types. Okay, so different sizes of computers will have, right? Those things we'll see. List zones, in what all availability zones you can select to create your cluster. Next, permanent delete. Permanent delete means if you want to completely terminate, or if you want to terminate completely your cluster, then you need to select permanent delete. Resize, if you want to resize, okay, you want to increase or you want to decrease your cluster configuration, you can use restart. Restart means if you want to restart your cluster. Spark-version means what type of runtime you want to use, what type of Spark version you want. Start, if you want to start your Spark, then you need to use the start. Okay, if you want to start your Databricks cluster, then you need to use start. Okay, we'll see one by one these things, but I'll just show you. I have taken some. Okay, so let's create only one cluster. Okay, so okay, let me just explain this. See, Databricks clusters create. Okay, if you want to create -JSON. Okay, these things I am keeping as a JSON format only. You need to keep. Okay, there is no other format. See here, cluster. See, this entire thing I should have in a string. For that, see, Again, this is a name, right? Name means I need to keep it in a double quotes. But if I start double quotes here, ended here, string will end here itself, right? So that's why what I'm using the backslash here just to skip this double quote. Okay. Again, my double quote is ending here, meaning from here to here, whatever is there, this will be treated as a string. What this string is contains: key value fields, cluster name, Spark version 7.2, node type ID is this, number of workers is 0, meaning a single node cluster I am going to create. Let's say I'm just copy this. Okay, enter. So it will generate the cluster ID. See, it is giving cluster ID is this one. Let's go and see whether cluster is really creating or not. It will come, don't worry. See, cluster is started creating. Which version of cluster it is creating? 7.2. Okay. See, it is creating a Cloud Pandit demo. Can you check whatever configuration you have given? Those are correct. Cloud Pandit demo. Spark version 7.2. Is it 7.2 or not? Yes, it is a 7.2. Next. Node type standard D3V2. Node type, you see, standard D3V2. Number of worker nodes is 0. You see, number of worker nodes is 0, meaning only you will have a head node. Okay. This is the one way. Now we have a cluster ID available. Okay. Now I want to get more information about this cluster. So now you just try to list down your clusters information. Clusters list. So what it is saying, this is the cluster ID, this is the cluster name, this is still pending, it is still starting. Okay. Now I want to get more information. Okay, get cluster ID. What is the cluster ID? So this is the cluster ID. Okay, enter. So you'll get more details here itself. You no need to go there. You can see all this: cluster ID, cluster name, Spark version, node type, driver node type, auto terminate minutes 0, enable elastic days, some other configuration. Okay, who has created, vendor, creator name, okay, cluster name, cluster ID. So all this information you will have here. See, the state is still pending. It is not created. Okay, fine. So now what we have, this cluster we have, just click on this one more time. You see terminate after 0 minutes of inactivity, because I have not setted those things. I have not setted those things like, but if you want to set auto termination minutes to 10, you have to say auto termination equal to 10. If you want to use auto scale equal to min worker nodes, max worker nodes. So likewise, we have a different options. You can use those different options based on our requirement. But if we have a simple cluster, I want to create some cluster with basic and important configuration. You can, this is the minimum configuration that you need to provide. Okay. Now cluster is going to be up in some time. Cluster is going to be up in some time. Don't worry, it will not terminate. Sometimes it will not show like that. Okay. Okay. So it will create in some time. It will take some time. But now, meanwhile, what you can do, you can just try to understand events that happen. Okay, events. Okay, let me just expand this. Can you see here? India Standard Time. At this time, cluster destination creating. So it is creating. Who started creating? User cloudpandit@gmail.com. So this is the user started creating what time? At this time. Okay, init script started and the cluster creation also started. Who has started? This user. But later I'll just stop it. Everything I will do. So yes, I'm going to do everything. So it will show like terminated by user, this user, restarted by user, this user. So everything it will show. Okay, let's see once again the status. So still it is pending. Still it is pending. But meanwhile, let's try to see clusters -. So here only it will take more time for us. Let's -h. Okay. So let's say, yeah, meanwhile, let me show you node types. Let's say you don't know what all, see, I am just using this. But how do you know this is the exact name I need to mention? How do you know standard D3V2? Okay, those things I will show you. How you will come to know is Databricks cluster. You can say list node types. There are a lot of nodes available. Node types are available based on your requirement. You need to select. See, there are a lot of node configurations. See, standard LATS large instance. Okay, which is having 80 cores. Memory is this much MB. Okay, very big computers. Okay, now likewise you have lot of like configuration, so you can just select node type ID. If you select this, you will get a 16 cores, this much memory. Okay. If you select this much memory, these many cores. Standard D3 something, it is difficult for us to find out of all these things. Okay, but see, you can see here a lot of things we have.
This is more of a configuration data, right? So do I need to start the cluster and then only get this, or we can
No,
do
you
not
can
have
get
anything
at the beginning. You can get at the beginning.
Okay,
Because I was in the flow. Yes, we have some time. I'm showing now. Okay. Now let's say next I want to know the different runtimes which are available. Spark versions. You just say here you can say Spark versions to see the different versions which you have. Different runtimes which you have. See different runtimes. 7.2, 5.5, 7.3, 7.5, 7.1, 6.4, 5.5. Okay, so 7.5 CPU ML. Okay, so different runtimes also you have. So you just have to use this runtime based on your requirement. Okay, because simply if I paste it, it is working, but you will have a question how you will know these things. This is the node type, this is the runtime. So this is how you can get it. So from here you can verify and you can find out those things. Okay, fine. Next, see now the cluster is up. Let's say list these nodes. It is running. Now I want to restart it. Let it be. See, now I'll just say get. I want to say restart. Okay. Now let's list down again. See, restarting. The status is restarting. You understood? So this is how you can just work with cluster. Now we have some more things. The only thing is, will take more time. You see here you have delete. Delete, it will just terminate, but once you delete, you can able to start it. You can do permanent delete. You can able to delete permanently, then cluster will not be visible here. Permanently it will be deleted. It will not be visible in your UI also. Okay, so it is restarting. Okay. Still restarting. Once it is restarted, then what we can do, we can terminate and start once again.
Just one question. So, what is the difference between delete and permanent delete? I mean, if I delete
That's what
with
I
the
mentioned.
cluster ID.
Delete means it's kind of a terminate. If you terminate, you can start it again. But permanent delete means cluster configuration itself it will delete. You cannot start again once you permanently delete.
Okay.
Clear,
Okay.
Lakshmi?
Yes. And one more thing. Can we create automated cluster also? I mean, job cluster?
Yes, job cluster also you can. Job cluster
Okay.
also. See, job cluster you can create means you cannot simply submit those things. When you are when you are scheduling the jobs, you can able to mention those things. I want to create a job cluster. Yes, that you can say.
Okay.
That is possible. Yeah, so it is available now. So come here. Let's say I want to list. You can see here running. Okay, now let's say I want to delete. This is the cluster I want to delete. Just delete it. What will happen? You see. Okay, when you just delete and list this, terminating. the status is terminating. It is terminating, that's all. Okay, once it is terminated, you can able to restart it. See, it's terminated, looks like. Okay, now I want to start again. So what you can do, you just have to say start. Okay, now you can just list it. So it is saying pending. Pending means it is starting again. But if you say permanent delete, it will be deleted permanently. You know, right? Pending means from pending to it will come for the running state. Okay. But let's say meanwhile I want to say permanent delete. What will happen? Let's see. Permanent -delete. Okay, you understood? I'm just deleting. Permanent delete. So it's deleted. Yeah. Now let's come here. Here itself. Let's list down. See, it is not showing here. But when you delete, after you delete, you have listed down, it is showing terminating. But when you just say after permanently deleted, if you try to list it, so it is not showing. Okay, even if you come out, okay, it will go away. It will not be available in some time. You see, it is not. It will not come again. Okay, so that's how you can able to interact with cluster. Okay, now let's go with Databricks -H. Okay, now let's talk about Workspace. Okay, now let's talk about Workspace. So you no need to remember anything basically. Okay, the reason is everything is available here itself, isn't it? You see Databricks Workspace. Where is Workspace? This is the Workspace. You can say Workspace. Okay, -H. I don't know what all things I can do here. You see here, you can delete something. Okay, delete or remove, both are synonyms. You see delete object from Databricks Workspace. RM and delete are synonyms. You can use delete or RM. We discussed about RM. So RM will allow you to remove the files or entire folder files. If you use -R recursively, it will delete all the files which you have in a folder. MKDIRS to create the directory. List, LS, or you can use the list. Both are same. See, LS and list are synonyms again. Understood? Next, export. If you want to export single file, export dir, entire directory if you want to export. Import, if you want to import a single file, import dir if you want to import entire directory. Okay, clear? Now let's start. Databricks Workspace. I want to say LS. See what things we have, users and shared. We'll go and see whether we have really users and shared. Yes, we have these two folders only. Now I want to create. Now what we will do, we will create our own folder. Okay, how to create our own folder? Okay, you can see something called MKDIRS, isn't it? Workspace MKDIRS. You need to say here your folder name. Let's say what you can do, Cloud Pandit. Okay, this is my folder. It will create. Yes, done. Come here. See, Cloud Pandit folder is created. Now let's go inside each folder and see what files we have. Okay, let's say I want to go inside user to see the files which you have. Enter. Okay, see. So in this users, we have something called cloudpandit@gmail.com. Let's go and see whether really that particular thing is there. Yes. Go inside this, what you have trash. Like that, if you want to see what we have in shared, what we have in particular folder, you can able to see. Okay, but you don't have any option to create the files directly from the CLI, isn't it? But now I just want to create, then I can able to create it here. Create workbook. Okay, so what I will do here, cloud bin. Okay, this is the file I am just creating. In which language? Python. Created. Okay, let's say here simply you can say simple code I will write. Okay, I won't consider it as complicated. Okay, so name equal to Cloud Pandit, print name. Okay, this is a simple Cloud Pandit underscore demo file I have. let's list down these things in a where I have created. I'm not sure where I have created. Let's list. So ls will list down. Yes, in this particular folder we have a cloud pandit underscore demo. We have a cloud pandit underscore demo file we have. So what I wanted to do, this particular file I want to export to my local system. Okay, I want to export to my local system. How to do that we will see. Now very simple. Workspace, sorry, you need to export, right? You need to say export. What file you want to export? Cloud pandit slash cloud pandit demo. Okay, so you just have to say export cloud pandit the demo. Next you need to say where you want to export. Maybe I want to export to my desktop, something like this. Okay, you can say desktop. In desktop, maybe let me just check what folders we have. Okay, we have folders. Okay, in this folder I'll just mark it. Okay, I'll just put those files in this. Otherwise, let's create a new folder in my desktop. Okay. ADB folder I created. Okay, so this ADB folder is completely empty for now. Okay, close it, come back. Come here. Now you see I'm just mentioning ADB folder. Okay, just enter. No such file or directory available. One second.
Just mention the directory or something maybe.
Oh, one second. You no need to mention slash. You just enter. Yes, it is done. Now come here, go inside this ADB folder and see cloud pandit demo.py file came or not. Yes, this file is available. Same file now I want to export into my Databricks, but this time I will create another folder, mkdirs cloud pandit 1. Okay, let's create a cloud pandit 1 folder. So in this cloud pandit 1 folder I want to copy the same file, but the problem with the same file, you cannot have a same file in your workspace. Okay, for that what you need to do, you need to, let's rename here. Okay, cloud pandit underscore demo 1.py. This is the file I want to export. Okay, sorry, import. So remember, whenever you are importing, you need to tell in which language file you are importing. Sorry. So you need to, yeah. So what we will do, we'll just use the import. Okay, so here instead of export, what you need to do, you need to say import. So import from where to where? From desktop. From desktop, I just have to, in this desktop ADB folder we have file called, cloud pandit demo 1.py. Okay, this is the file we have. Okay, this is the file we have. This file I want to move it into cloud pandit 1 folder. Okay, inside this I want to call this file as a cloud pandit demo 1.py. Okay, so this file I want to import as this, but as we discussed earlier, what you need to do whenever you are importing, you need to mention the language -l. So you need to say Python. Okay, just let's try to import it. Let's see. Yes, it is imported. Come here. Let's go to Workspace, Cloud Pandit 1. Click on this folder. You see Cloud Pandit demo 1.py came. This file came here. Okay, clear now. Okay, fine. Now you see what I will do. go inside this particular ADB. Not here. 1 second. I should have a lot of Python files. Yes, you see, cloud cp.py. Okay, cp.py, test.py. Okay, I'll just add all these files now. These two files, I'll just put it in this particular ADB folder. Okay, now I have these three files in this ADB folder. Now what I want to do, I want to import this entire ADB directory. What I want to do, I want to import this entire directory into the Cloud Pandit 3 folder. I want to create a Cloud Pandit 3 folder. Okay, you can say Cloud Pandit 3 folder. Into this Cloud Pandit 3 folder, I want to import an entire directory. Okay, just say this is the entire directory. So this is the entire directory I want to import into Cloud Pandit 3, isn't it? Just enter. Oops.
Import dir we have to do.
Import. Oh yes, sorry. You are right. dir. Enter. Source path, target path. Yes, we have given source path and target path only. What is the problem?
Directory has to be language specific.
Yes, that's correct. No need to say yes. Directory, because in a directory you can have a multiple language file. You can have multiple language file. That's why directory is not a language specific. You are right. It will be done this time. Okay. Yes, see, it is copied one by one. Everything came. Let's go to Workspace. Click on Cloud Pandit 3 folder. See, all the three files came. Now these three files I want to get it back to my my local system. Okay, so maybe what you can do, you just try to delete these three things from your local system. Come here. This time I just wanted to export all these files. Okay, I just want to export these things. We'll see export underscore dir, export underscore dir. You just have to say from which folder you want to export. So I have a files in this Cloud Pandit 3. These files I want to export into desktop / ADB folder. Okay, enter. See, all those came back to the your local system. Let's come here. See, all those three you deleted, again those three came. When these came, just now 7:18, you can see the time 7:18. Okay, clear. As of now, everybody's clear, friends, or any doubts? Okay, fine. Now let's say come here. You see Cloud Pandit 1 folder I have. In this folder, I have a Cloud Pandit underscore demo1.py file. So this particular file I want to remove it. How to remove? We have two things. RM you have, or you can use a delete. Okay, let's go with RM. This is simple. Anything is fine. So, but I want to remove the file from Cloud Pandit 2 folder. In this, I have a Cloud Pandit underscore demo1.py file. Okay, this is the file I want to remove. Just execute it. Does not exist. Spelling, can you check? Cloud Pandit underscore. Yeah, you no need to see RM Cloud Pandit.
I think it is in Cloud Pandit 1.
You don't have Cloud Pandit 2. You have Cloud Pandit 1. That's good. You don't have Cloud Pandit 2, you see. You have only Cloud Pandit 1. Okay. Now you see that particular file is gone. That particular file is gone. Now in Cloud Pandit 3 folder, I have a multiple files. You see, I have multiple files in Cloud Pandit 3 folder. I want to remove all those things. You just have to say here and select Cloud Pandit 3 folder. Okay. And you can say -R. R means recursively, I want to remove all the files one by one. So it's removed everything. Yes, that entire folder itself is deleted. Okay, Clear? Any questions you have, friends?
Just one thing is like I don't know whether you would be doing it or not, but still, this question is like the Microsoft Azure Databricks that you have shown, right? Is there a way by which we can use the CLI on the AWS domain of the Databricks?
I did not get you. Can you come again?
Question is like how you have shown this Azure Databricks part of it, where we are getting this token and the kind of the URL which is pointing to. Can I get this information out of the Databricks of AWS version of it? I'm not talking about the community version, rather.
Yes, you can get it. You can get it from AWS Databricks as well. Same steps you need to follow.
Okay. Anytime would you be able to see? Maybe not today. I don't know whether you have time or plan it, or like can you show anytime if you, or any
First,
like a video or blog if you can share.
AWS Databricks Workspace we need to create one day. Maybe we need to create some free trial for AWS Workspace, and we need to create that to explore all these things. See, like creating multiple times of AWS Databricks Workspace, all those things will not be possible. So one day we will create all those things.
Sure. Thank you.
Malay, is there any option to create these clusters handle by using ARM templates?
ARM templates you cannot use. ARM templates means no, there is no chance from PowerShell.
Okay.
Only support a Databricks you can able to access in 3 ways as we discussed: CLI, REST API, final one is UI. But mostly people will go with UI, and we are also going with UI, and I will show you with how you can interact with CLI. But basically REST API means even CLI is going to call the REST API. So with the help of REST API only all these things will create. Okay. But REST API means, let's say here you see, so you'll have a code. Okay, you can just see here. See, this is what I submitted, right? So even if it is, see, you are talking about this AWS, right? So authenticate, you must authenticate. See, same. Even this is AWS, right? So in AWS also generate new token, you are going to generate this token. Understood?
Yeah, generate token option is showing, but I was using the community version, right? So the URL, obviously it's not going to work. So that's why
I told the community will not work. Community is different. AWS Workspace is different. Azure Databricks is. Azure Databricks, AWS Databricks is mostly similar. Okay.
Sure.
But this one is not like community will not. You should not compare with your actual premium workspaces.
Okay. So if I upgrade from community to the actual one, right, I'll be able to use it, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay. I'll try that.
Okay, friends. So remaining things we will discuss tomorrow. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.